What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Think Different Theory. My name is Josh Forti, and we're here. We're here in Colorado. We made it to Broomfield, Colorado, right outside of Denver. Right outside, like 20 minutes. The suburbs. Maybe not the suburbs isn't the right word. I don't know. It's right outside of Denver. And we made it here to the apartment and got all set up. I'm in my new office. And what's funny is you can't even tell that anything changed because it's the same backdrop. That's the beautiful thing. If I wouldn't have told you that I had moved, you probably would have no idea, honestly. Because you couldn't tell it from this. Although if you follow me on Instagram, at Josh40, by the way, that's the best way to communicate with me if you are trying to get in touch with me. Okay. And there's a lot of people out there right now that are sending me messages on Facebook. A lot of them. I mean, guys, like, let me pull up my phone here. What do we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, like 18 messages in the past day. And that's just from people that I'm actually friends with on Facebook. And then I have literal hundreds of pending requests. I mean, like, it just scroll and scroll and scroll and scroll and scroll and scroll. And then I got even more from there that's spam. I mean, it's like just so many, okay? So the best place to get a hold of me is on Instagram, at Josh40, JOSHFORTI. Hit me up on there. I try to get back to all my messages. I'm slammed there as well. But here's what I do. How Instagram works, this is actually an interesting way to look at it. How Instagram works is like when you send a message, it goes to the pending tab, right? In like the request tab. So if I don't follow you, if we've never communicated before, it goes to the request tab, and I have hundreds of requests in there. But if you can get past that request tab, then it shows up in my inbox. And if you send me a message in there, I usually try to get back to it within a couple days, and I try to check my request tab once a week. I'll sit down and I'll just reply back to as many people as I possibly can and clear some of that out. So that's the best way to get a hold of me if you're trying to there. But guys, we moved to Colorado. It's freaking incredible. I absolutely love it out here already. But what's interesting is, so directly behind this, what do you call this? Backdrop. This backdrop behind me, there is a window, and it's you can't see it. It's only half covered, so I can still see out of it. But outside of my office window looks out into a beautiful golf course, which is super cool. And then we have a mountain view from the master bedroom, which is just super cool, kind of overlooking. It's like trees and then mountains in the background. And we're like 15 minutes from Boulder, so I can be in mountains, like up in the mountains, overlooking everything, 20 minutes, which is super cool. There's a scenic outlook like 7 minutes away, if that. It's absolutely beautifully gorgeous out here. And I'm super, super excited because this is something, people moving to the West Coast, the East Coast, they're moving to Florida, they're going to the beaches, they're going to this. I get it, right? Like, I understand. I love the beach. I love, California coasts and things like that. But I'll tell you what, with everything that's going on in the world today, guys, I'm just going to be honest with you. I feel safe here. Like, I don't really feel safe in California, especially with COVID. Right? The liberals out in California are just ridiculous. I mean, the government out there is actually stupid. New York's the same way. Like, I read a report, and I heard this on the radio. I've heard it so many places. And actually, I just took an Uber this morning back from, I was dropping something off. I had to take an Uber back. And I was talking to this guy in there. He sells real estate. And he's like, the real estate market here in Denver, he's like, we've never been busier. All the moving companies that I hear and talk to have never been busier. I had to book a U-Haul truck weeks out in advance, and because they're constantly booked up. Everybody's leaving New York. Everybody's leaving California. They're all going in. They have 750. This is according to my Uber driver. I haven't actually fact checked this, but he's in the real estate market. 750 people a day are moving to the Denver area. Everybody's leaving the coasts. They're leaving and they're moving into the rural areas because they're scared. And I get it. And not only from COVID, I think of, living on a beach, living down in Florida, you got hurricanes to worry about. In the Midwest, you got tornadoes to worry about. Honestly, I feel great here in Denver. I think the worst thing we have to worry about, fingers crossed, knock on wood, is like blizzards. And I've been trapped in a Denver blizzard before. I made it out just fine. I literally was trapped. I got stuck in a church overnight. On the way to my brother's funeral of all places. Anyway, guys, that's not the purpose of this. What I'm saying is that I'm very, very happy here in Denver, in Broomfield. And I think we're going to have a blast. We have the Jeep Wrangler. We have all the doors off it. I'm not sure if that's even legal or not here. I think so. I haven't seen anybody else with it though. And everybody looks at me, like literally everybody I drive past that's like walking down the road, like looks at me weird. And I'm like, what, is this illegal? But I looked it up and it's not illegal. So anyway, guys, the purpose of today's episode is welcome back, by the way. Happy Monday. Gosh, what a day. It's a great day to be alive, guys. The purpose of today's episode, I want to talk to you about how to get what you want out of life. All right. And I'm going to try not to make this a super cliche episode in that sense, but there's just some basic things that I think are very important because, as Tony Robbins, I think he just recently posted this as well. Can't remember exactly. Let's see. I can't remember exactly what it was. Let me pull it up on Facebook here. Tony Robbins, I love Tony Robbins. He's just the man. He says, energy goes where energy flows, where focus goes. Yeah, here we go. Where focus goes, energy flows. Remember, when we feel, it is a result of what we're choosing to focus on. Most people focus on how to avoid pain in the short term. If we want to push our life to the next level and experience fulfillment and true quality of life, we need to be laser focused on our ultimate vision and our sense of mission, who we want to be, and how we can serve and contribute. Focusing on that highest vision helps create energy and momentum. We can kick feelings of frustration or depression by changing the channel of our attention to how to help somebody in need. It all begins with what you choose to focus on. And this is fascinating to me, guys, because I have worked with Katie Richardson, who's my high performance coach. I pay her $5,000 a month. $60,000 a year to come coach me. I know I've been called crazy, but let me tell you something. Katie Richardson has fundamentally changed every single aspect of my life. I am a completely different human being than I was at the beginning of this year. And that is thanks to Katie. And Katie talks about this. She talks about choice. She talks about focus. And I'll never forget when like going through and learning and learning under her and being taught by her, she would talk to me about this power of choice. And I was like, well, Katie, like, oh man, like, what if I need money? What if I need this? What if I need that? And she said, Josh, whatever you choose to focus on, that's where you're going to go have success. That is what is going to amplify in front of you, right? And so she's like, if you're going to choose to focus on what's wrong, if you're going to choose to stress out and, or be stressed and choose to think that you have money problems or choose to think that $50,000 is a lot of money, if you're going to choose to have these perceptions, then your energy is going to flow there. That's what it's going to focus on. That's what you're going to believe. But if you change where you focus, if you change your perception, you change the story in your mind to a new place and focus on something else, that's where your energy is going to go and that's where it's going to flow. And she drew this, and this is, her husband and her had started, well, actually, she was the one that started Pudge. It was the baby bath company. She's been on the cover of Entrepreneur Magazine. It's this huge, massive, multi-million-dollar global baby products brand, right? And anyway, so they do a lot of business coaching and work with high-level entrepreneurs and whatnot, right? And you might have seen this analogy before. She drew this circle on a piece of paper. She said, Josh, here's how most people use their focus. Here's how most people use their energy, right? I'm really big into energy. Katie's really big into energy. Tony Robbins big into energy. I think energy is incredibly important, right? But most people go, and if this is your circle, okay? And then she drew the circle, and then she drew arrows in every different direction. Let's say it was like 12 or 15 different arrows, right? Pointing in all different directions around the circle. And she says, so here is the average person. They're going, and they're sitting there, and they are trying to go in 15 different directions at once. So if they have 100% of their energy, they're doing like 7% in every direction, right? I know that's not exact math, but it's close, 105%, right? So they have like 6 to 7% in every direction. So they move a little bit this way, and then they get pulled this way, and then they get pulled this way, and they get pulled this way, and they're not focused, right? And they're not moving forward. They're not actually going anywhere. They're not actually doing anything with their life because they're trying a million different things. They're being distracted. They have no direction in life. They have no focus, right? And therefore, they're never going to get to where they want to go. I was like, all right. Well, I was like, well, how do I get to where I want to go? And it's interesting because the first thing that Katie ever taught me, okay, like our very, very first call, I signed up with her. We get on the phone, and she's like, I go through, I was like, all right, Katie, like, here's where I'm at. And I like just dumped her. I was like, here's where I'm at in my business. Here's where I'm at in my life. Here are my frustrations. Here's this, whatever. What do I need to do to fix it? And she said, Josh, you need to know yourself. You need to know who you are. And I was like, well, why? And I've done a lot of podcasts on that. All right. I've done a lot of podcast episodes on knowing thyself, knowing who you are. But there's something very specific here that I think is important. And there's the reason I bring this story up. Okay. Because in order to get where it is that you're going in life, guys, you have to know where it is that you want to go. And in order for you to know where you want to go, you have to know who you are. You have to. Because if you don't know who you are, you don't know where you want to go. And you're going to change your mind a million times. Okay? You're going to constantly be changing your mind because if you don't know who you are, you're going to feel one way this way, you're going to feel another way today, you're going to feel another way tomorrow. And every time you feel something, every time something, the way you feel changes, you're going to shift the direction. And that's going to pull you in 15 or 20 different directions. Why? Because your entire decision-making process, your entire goal-setting process is based on how you feel. And that's not how you want to go and do that because that's going to pull you in a million different directions. You have to go and you have to know who you are so that you can figure out what you want. And once you've identified what you want, all you have to do now is focus on that thing. If you continue to bring it to your forefront, if you can continue to bring it to your attention, guess what? It is going to happen. And I'll never forget this. Man, I've got so many analogies I could use with this, but this is a perfect example, right? I've said that I wanted to do a 6-figure launch. Meaning $100,000, make $100,000 in a single week from a launch. And I've wanted to do that for a while. Or I thought I wanted to do that, right? But I've never put focus on it. I mean, ever since I've been an entrepreneur or started to be an entrepreneur, make $100,000 in a week, that sounds awesome. Most people make $100,000 or don't make $100,000 in a year. If I could make $100,000 in a week, whoa, that would be incredible, right? That would be, if the average, I think the average American makes like $50,000, right? So $50,000 or $52,000 a year, something like that. So let's just call it $50,000 for easy numbers, right? It would take the average American 2 years to generate $50,000 in revenue. Pre-tax, I understand, okay? If I could do that in a week, that would literally be 100 times faster than the average American. So it's like, that'd be super cool, right? And so I told Katie, I was like, Katie, this is what I want to do. And she's like, is it actually what you want to do? I'm like, yeah, I think so. And she goes, well, then why are you doing this over here and 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 this over here? And I was like, well, I don't know. I want to do those things too. And so she said, so you want to do a bunch of different things. So if you want to do a bunch of different things, you're going to end up doing nothing. I was like, no. That's not how that works. Like, I'm going to do this $100,000 launch. You know what? We got off the phone. The next day I woke up and I boxed her and I was like, well, maybe I want to do this podcast thing. Like, I'm worried about my podcast downloads going down if I do this $100,000 launch, then that's going to sacrifice there. And then the next day I woke up and I was like, I really do want to do that 100,000. But if I do that, then I'm not going to be able to have the freedom to go over here and do this. And like every day for like that whole week, I woke up with kind of a different feeling of what I actually wanted to do with my life. And I get on the phone with Katie the next week and she's like, so do you know who you are? And I'm like, not really. And she goes, and that's the reason that you're jumping around from here to here to here to here to here to here. You don't know who you are. And because you don't know who you are, you don't know the direction that you want to take your life. So you think you want to make $100,000. Oops. You think you want to make $100,000 until you wake up the next day and feel like that's too much work. You think you want to grow a podcast until you wake up one day and think that that's too much work. You think you want to be an entrepreneur, or you think you don't want to be an entrepreneur, or you think this because that's based on how you feel at the time. You've got to know who you are. And so for the next 2 or 3 months, Katie and I, worked together on figuring out who I am, right? Understanding, well, who I am as a person, who I am as a man, who I am in God. And once I figured that out, once I came to grips with that, I went, okay, now that I know who I am, now that I have a much better understanding of who I am, what does the future version of me look like? Who am I becoming? Because life is this game of becoming. We're always evolving. We're always growing, right? I'm not going to go into that. This is a podcast episode for another time. But I was like, okay, who is it that I want to become? And so once I went and identified that, and once I said, okay, the future version of Josh looks like a successful podcaster. The future version of Josh looks like this, is this, right? And I made this all out. I went, okay, this is who I am. This is who I want to become. Now, what's the first step for me to go out and get that? And that's when I realized, hey, I've got to go have a $100,000 launch because I need money, right? I need some revenue. I need to grow my business more. That's going to expedite my business forward, right? Now, I've made my clients millions of dollars. I have have done big launches for my clients, but I've never done it strictly for a product of my own. And you know what I did? Once I identified that is what I wanted to do, I put my focus there and I said, now until the time I launch, that is my focus. That is my focus now until the time that I launch. And that's all I focused on. And everything shifted around that. Our podcast episode shifted towards that. Our email shifted towards that. Our content shifted towards that. My action shifted towards that. The team's project shifted towards that. And let me tell you something. We went through, and in a month, we put together this launch. We did this huge launch campaign. I went through and we did almost $200,000 in a week's time period in collected cash and contracts. Over $100,000 in collected cash and almost $200,000 in contracts. Why? I've been trying to do that for 3-4 years. I did it in a month. Actually, I made the money in a week. How? Because that's where I put my focus. Okay? Once I put my focus somewhere and actually decide that that is where my focus is going to go and really go and say, no, I'm going to focus on nothing but that, I can get what I want. And that is true in every aspect of life. Guys, I have designed my life this entire year. Everything in my life so far this year, from the Jeep that I drive to the place where I live, the location that I live, who I'm with, our lifestyle, when I work, when I don't work, the team that I have, the money that I have in the bank, has all been a result of me being intentionally focused on achieving those things. If you want to know, or if you want to get what you want out of life, you have to actually decide what it is that you want. And you might be like, Josh, I know what I want. And I bet you actually don't. I was listening to this influencer one time by a guy by the name of Sean Whalen. I've done a lot of coaching in my life. He's done, I'm sure, way more coaching than I have. He's an influencer, but not an influencer in the sense of like he just has a lot of followers. He does have a lot of followers, but like he's a business owner, right? Very successful business owner. And, you know, just has a very, very large following in that entrepreneurial America space. And he does coaching for some clients, coaching and consulting. And he said, there's this lady one time, he gets on the phone with her. It's like the lady wanted to, you know, move forward and coach with him. And he said, well, what is it that you want? Well, I think I want that. He goes, okay, so what is it that you want? Well, I don't know. I think I could probably do this. Or I'm thinking, he goes, okay, so what is it that you want? And in the video, he stopped there and he says, guys, I have coached, I don't know, it's like thousands of people or whatever. And he goes, it baffles me. And it's so interesting to me how very, very, very few people can actually answer the question of what it is that they want. And I know that to be true for myself. And I knew that to be true for all the people that I have coached as well. If you were to say on the spot, hey, what do you want? Maybe you could rattle off, oh, I want a Lamborghini. Okay. Oh, I want a big house. Okay. When we say, what do you want? When I mean, what do you want? I mean, I want you to identify it. I want you to spell it out. I want you to make it clear. I want you to be able to envision, hey, if you want that house, why, right? Like, what does that look like? What does that allow you to achieve? What does that allow you to do? What does your lifestyle look like with that house, right? Who do you need to become to have that house, right? Like, you got to get super, super, super clear on that. Write it down, journal it, get it out of your head, look at it, and decide that is what I'm going to go after. And then once you've decided, cut everything else out of your life and go and make that happen. If you've got if you're after a house, and I'm just going to use this as an arbitrary example, right? What it could be a business, it could be the car, it could be money, it could be a relationship, it could be anything that you want in life, okay? If you want that, do everything in your power to focus 100% on that and cut out all other distractions. If that means you got to print out pictures of it and hang them on your current wall so that you're looking at it every single day, and you've got to get a coach to keep you on track, and you've got to, cancel Netflix and every other thing in your life to go and put all of your focus here, then do it, because that's how you get what you want out of life. I see so many people, and the problem with millennials today, and not even just millennials, just America today, is that people want everything to be handed to them. People want everything to be given to them. They think that just by living, they have some right to be rich or be wealthy or have housing or whatever. Like, no, like you've got to work. You've got to decide what it is that you want. It's not going to be handed to you. But we've grown up and we've raised this society that's like, whatever I want, I can just have. No. You can't. Whatever you want, you've got to work for. And then you can have it. But in order to get what it is that you actually want, you got to figure out what it is that you actually want. And most people don't know that. Guys, I know what I want. And the areas where I don't know what I want, I know that I don't know what I want, and I'm actively trying to figure it out. I wanted to move to Colorado. I wanted to have a Jeep Wrangler, and I wanted to be close to the mountains. Aaliyah Wanted to make sure that the place that we lived had a mountain view and flooring, not carpet. We have a mountain view and a golf course view and flooring, not carpet. Okay? There was X number of dollars I wanted to have in the bank before we moved. I have actually more than that number in the bank before we moved. Okay? Why? Because I got very clear and intentional about those things. And now that I'm here, now I sat down with my team and I said, hey, what do I want the business to look like? What do we want the business to look like? What do we want to sell? What are our revenue goals? What are our number? Like, what are these things? What are the things that we're going to stick to? And you know what? There's a lot of people out there that go, I don't know what I want. And they think, I don't know what I want, therefore I can't have it. Great. If you don't know what you want, fine. But admit that to yourself and then be active about figuring out what it is that you want. If you don't know what you want, the first thing that you want is to know what it is that you actually want. So make that a priority. Say, I'm going to be active and intentional about figuring out what it is that I want. And then go and figure that out. And then once you have that, cut everything else out in your life. And let me tell you, the biggest life hack, the biggest way to figure out what it is that you actually want is to study yourself, to understand who you are, to understand what drives you, to understand the demons that you have to take care of, to understand what made you who you are, to understand human psychology, to understand how you make decisions. Because when you understand how you operate and you understand how you think, now you're going to be able to make much more accurate decisions. You're going to be in much more control of your life. And then you can go out and go, okay, I know that I want this because I want it and not because of somebody else. One of the biggest problems with today's society as well is that a lot of the reasons that we want something is because somebody else told us we wanted it. Guys, there was a while there in my business, probably a year and a half, when I got started, where everything on my goals list was something that somebody else told me was successful. I wanted a Lamborghini and I wanted to live by a beach because somebody else told me that was it. I wanted to travel all the time and fly all the time because somebody else told me that that was the definition of success. I wanted to hustle 18 hours a day because somebody else had convinced me that that's what it looked like to be successful. I wanted to speak on stages and have 1 million followers on Instagram because somebody else told me that was the definition of success. And it wasn't until I went, and keep in mind, I had those things. I didn't have a Lambo, I didn't live by the beach, but I traveled all the time. I was flying every week at one point in my life. I was making $50,000, $60,000 a month solo. I was flying and traveling all the time. I was speaking on stages. I managed 6 million or 5 or 6 million followers on Instagram and social media for clients. And I was miserable. I was depressed. Why? Because everything that I wanted or everything that I was chasing was this thing that somebody else told me that I wanted. Somebody else told me was the definition of success. And then I started working with Katie. Then I started understanding myself. Then I started figuring out what it was that I actually wanted out of life. And I was like, no, you know what I want? I want peace of mind. I want a good relationship with my family. I want a good relationship with my friends. I want to be super intentional about the people that I'm putting around me. I want to have a successful business that allows me not to sell my time and grow a team. I want a business that's involved in charity work and ending human sex trafficking. I want to live in the mountain or by the mountains. I want a Jeep Wrangler, not a Lamborghini. I want to feel like a man. I want to shoot guns. I want to have freedom. And I don't want to build a $100 million company like I used to one day. I want to build a $10 million company and have the freedom that that brings. I want to be able to work 4 days a week, have 3 days a week off, to be involved in my church, to be involved in charity, to hang out with Leah, to better myself, right? And when I shifted those things and when I took the pressure of everybody else off of me and I said, who am I? What do I want? And I put all my focus there. That's what came about. Like, just think about it. If you wanted to write a book, you're like, I'm going to write a book, but you never actually went and wrote a book. You never learned anything about writing a book. You never learned what went into it. You never actually sat down and just wrote it. Your focus wasn't there. You can say you want something all you want, but if you actually want something, you will identify very clearly what it is, and then you put all of your focus there. And the reason you have such a hard time doing that is, number one, you don't know who you are, and number two, you're listening to everybody else out there. You're doing things based on the short term, and you're not thinking about your long-term goals. And as Tony Robbins put, you're not figuring out how you can contribute. How can you give back? Guys, my way of giving back is I want to help people break free. I want to help people break free. become the best version of themselves. I want to help people get involved with things that they're passionate about, because I believe that if I can inspire people to go out and do what they love and get involved with things they're passionate about, that's going to go out and change the world. And they're going to get involved in charities that they're passionate about. They're going to get involved in projects that they're passionate about. What am I passionate about? I'm passionate about interviewing people and learning, studying, right? I'm passionate about teaching. I'm passionate about justice for children and ending human sex trafficking, right? I'm passionate about going off-roading in Jeeps and being outside and healthy, right? Like, these are the things I'm passionate about doing. If I can design my life to go be in that element and show people that, hey, I created the life that I wanted to live and still did good in the world and still gave back and contributed back to you, and I showed you how to go out and do it as well. I am now the example. I can now say, hey, listen, this is what I wanted to do and I did it. You can do the same. Here's how. Now, not everybody wants to teach. I do. But everybody has something that they want. Most people just don't know what that is. And if you want to get what it is that you want out of life, I implore you, please go figure out who you are. If you want more resources on this, if you're like, Josh, how do I start to master my mindset? How do I start to know who I am? How do I start to rewire my brain? How do I start to do that? ThinkDifferentTheory.com/playbook. Okay. ThinkDifferentTheory.com/playbook. I wrote a 70 or 80 page playbook. It's a 5-section playbook, 5 parts. There's writing, like reading materials, and then there's a video explaining your homework, and then in there's homework. It's completely for free. ThinkDifferentTheory.com/playbook. You can go sign that up. We'll link it down in the description. It's called the Mind Shift Playbook. Okay. I literally wrote it for this reason. And I actually wrote it because it was the exact process that I followed. Just go start designing my life, to start becoming aware of what it was that I was doing in life. Does that make sense? And I hope that helps you as well. Guys, I know that one of the things that I want to do is I want to save the children. I know that in order to do that, we're going to need money. And so I'm putting a lot of focus there. I'm putting focus with Brad Newman and Operation Underground Railroad. I'm putting focus on how to weave this into the very DNA of Think Different Theory. I'm putting focus into learning about and creating content around that. I also know that something I'm passionate about is mindset and helping people break free. So I'm putting a lot of focus on that. I'm writing a book right now. Why? Because I know what I want. Well, because I know who I am. I know what I want, and I'm putting focus so that energy goes there. If you want something in life, that is how to get it. Know who you are, know what you want, put all your focus and energy there, and cut out everything else that's standing in your way. Success, and in this particular case, success means getting what you want in life. Success requires sacrifice. Getting what you want in life requires sacrifice, meaning you have to give things up to get there. And you have to want what it is that you want more than you want to hang on to the things that you have to sacrifice in order to get there. Guys, I hope this was helpful. Happy Monday. Go out and crush it today. That's all I've got for you. Make it a great week. Remember, life is all about perception. It's all about what happens in your mind. It's all a mental game, guys. Everything in life is a mental game. If you master your mind, if you master yourself, if you know who you are, you can literally go out and do anything. ThinkDifferentTheory.com/playbook. And if you're watching, hit the like button, hit the love button, share this out. The more likes, the more comments we get, the more people see this. If you're listening on audio, hey, shoot me a message on shoot me a message on Instagram. Leave a comment on Instagram. Leave a rating and review on iTunes, Spotify. It means a lot, and this pushes this out to more people. I love you all, and I will see you guys on the next episode. As always, hustle, hustle. God bless. Do not be afraid to think different, because those of us that think different are going to be the ones that change the world. I love you all, and I will see you on the next episode. Take it easy, fam. Peace. Yo, what's up, guys? You've been listening to the Think Different Theory with myself, Josh Forti, which I like to call a new paradigm of thinking. And real quick, I got a question for you. Did you like this episode? If you did, I want to ask a huge favor. See, the biggest thing that helps this podcast grow and that will spread this message of positivity and making the world a better place is if you leave a review, a rating, and subscribe to the podcast. What that does is it basically tells the platforms that this is out on that you like my stuff and that I'm doing something right. So if you could take like 3 seconds out of your day and subscribe, leave a rating and a review, I would be forever grateful for you. Also, I want to hear from you. I want to know your feedback, your ideas, and your questions for future episodes. So be sure to hit me up on Instagram in the DM @JoshForti or via email contact@thinkdifferenttheory.com.